Good day, it's May 27th, 2023. There is something happening in the US Capitol that is making the stock market worldwide nervous and jittery, and most Americans are not even aware of it. Something with the global economic repercussions. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould, and welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban.
The United States Congress still has not passed the legislation to increase the national debt ceiling as it gets few days closer to having the U.S. government default on its debt obligations.
You may have been hearing or reading through various media outlets about the phrase debt ceiling and the players involved. So part of our segment today is an explainer about this widely talked subject during the past 60 days, the debt ceiling. So what is the debt ceiling? In the United States, the debt ceiling or debt limit is a legislative limit on the amount of national debt that can be incurred by the United States Treasury, and therefore limiting how much the federal government may pay by borrowing more money on debt it already incurred. So what happens if the U.S. had reached the debt ceiling, meaning it is not extended or increased?
The potential repercussions of reaching the debt ceiling is bad for everybody, for us here in the U.S. and all over the world, both in the short term and in the long term. Among the first thing that will happen if the U.S. debt limit is not increased by law, as an act of Congress, the credit rating of the United States will be immediately downgraded by various credit rating agencies. We Americans rely so much on credit to make things happen in our businesses and personal level. Credit, which is most of the time, in sense, is synonymous to the word credibility. People or financial institutions worldwide extend loans to individuals, businesses, and government based on their credibility. Remember when you bought your first car or motorcycle, or maybe your first big screen TV that you took out from the store by a loan or credit card? That's the same kind of credibility, the trustworthiness you showed lender, based on your credit score. That's your credit rating. So financial institutions in the U.S. and other money centers worldwide would extend loans to the U.S. government in order for the government pay a loan it already had received, when the U.S. government does not have the cash to pay those obligations. So in essence, it is borrowing money to pay a loan. For individuals who are in bad financial situation and is still trying to save their credibility, it's like paying a credit card from a cash advance taken from another credit card. That's how bad the situation is on government debts, not just the United States, but many emerging economies, small countries.
Now, if Congress will not authorize an increase in borrowing money, the United States Treasury will not be able to borrow money from Bank XYZ to pay the loan that will fall due by June 1st from Bank ABC. And when that happens, the loan will be in default, and the United States government's credit rating is downgraded. Like an individual American whose loan is in default, his FICO credit score, if it hypothetically was at 700, his FICO credit score will now be at 620, a big drop in trustworthiness. But how can the default on U.S. debt or loan eventually shakes down the market? It will turn the market into chaos. In all stock market worldwide, financial centers, not only in the United States, but also in Europe, Asia, and South America. The world's money centers work as a global network. The United States government bonds and U.S. promissory notes for loans it took out are being traded worldwide. It becomes part of the papers in the buy and sell in the world financial market. You'll hear items like U.S. government bonds, treasury notes being traded in millions, billions in buy and sell transactions daily, long after the United States had already spent the money from the loans they obtained. Imagine a bank or a big investment house like Salomon Brothers not getting paid on promissory notes that they are holding, and multiply this by thousands of regular banks and investment banks that will now be scrambling to sell a piece of paper signed by the US government that had lost its credibility. The ripple effect to all countries, businesses, as the stock market collapse is endless. It is like a big stock market crash in 2008. The US and the world will go into economic recession.
But what is now the size of the US government debt? Well, as of 2 days ago, the US government owes currently 31.4 trillion US dollars. And who do we owe this money from? Which countries hold most US debt? Over the past 20 years, from years 2000 to 2022, Japan and China have owned more US Treasury bonds than any other foreign nations. Japan grew from owning $534 billion to just over $1 trillion. China grew from owning $101 billion to $855 billion. As of April 4, 2023, according to numbers at the US Treasury reported by multiple media outlets.
And how did we get to this? The United States Treasury has been borrowing money to supplement its national budget and expenditure when it didn't have enough money collected from taxes. And this can't just be blamed as the fault of Republicans or Democrats. There were big spendings that needed to be supported by cash from loans or debt. The big borrowings began in the 1960s. So much money was needed for the Vietnam War. Then the Gulf War, when Iraq invaded Kuwait. Then there was the war in Afghanistan and the invasion of Iraq that led to the ouster of Saddam Hussein because of perceived weapons of mass destruction that Iraq didn't have. And came the massive tax cut under President Donald Trump, where he lowered the taxes for corporations to just 22% of their net profit. The big gap between the national revenue versus the national expenditure had got widened. And remember, we had 1.5 years of a pandemic where the government spent several billions in relief for families, for those who were not able to work, and also in other programs just to keep the economy afloat.
And yet, as we are just 3 days away from a looming disaster, the impasse and areas of disagreement between the Republican leaderships in the House of Representatives remain at a standstill. Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy and his conference wants massive cutbacks on safety net programs like Medicaid and food programs for the poor, and on education, while Democratic caucus under Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wants no cutback and suggests tax increases for corporations and the super wealthy. Will there still be hope that an agreement will be reached? It is more likely they agree in the end. It hadn't happened before that the US government defaulted from its loan obligations. That is why, on those US Treasury bonds and notes, they used the phrase backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. It's like saying, just trust us, we always pay. So for all of us out there, keep updated on this in any way you can, even from your cell phones about the debt ceiling, and spend cautiously for now just to insulate yourself and your family from a possible recession. We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Is former President Donald Trump getting closer to being indicted for the illegal possession of top-secret documents and his role in the U.S. Capitol attack of January 6, 2021? Many legal experts has this speculation based on the actions of Trump's attorneys asking U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland demanding a meeting between him and Trump with his attorneys. Many legal experts who are watching this investigation develops are saying that the last subpoena by the special counsel Jack Smith to the Trump Organization over records of financial transactions with foreign governments indicate that they may be looking if Donald Trump has monetized or sold top-secret national security information to foreign countries through the Trump Organization. That subpoena solicited an immediate response from Trump demanding to meet with the Attorney General Merrick Garland, who still has supervisory power over Special Counsel Jack Smith. What could possibly Jack Smith and investigators could link concerning the top-secret documents and the Trump Organization's dealing with foreign governments?
In the Philippines, the main post office, which is the iconic home of Philippine Postal Service by the Pasig River in Manila, not far from City Hall and Liwasang Bonifacio, has burned. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Hundreds of mails to individuals and businesses, including shipped parcels, were burned. The Philippine Postal Service also stated that the issuance and mailing of the national IDs are also affected, as records for the IDs that are still in process from thousands of ID applicants got burned.
Multiple media outlets in the Philippines reported the massive theft of thousands of e-wallet customers known as GCash. GCash, a popular Philippine version of an e-wallet and money transfer company, has been plagued by problems. People who were sent and received money into their GCash account had been missing their money even before they could come to GCash counters to claim the money they were supposed to have received. Thousands of GCash customers were affected, as 37 million pesos collectively from thousands of customers had their money stolen electronically and transferred to two bank accounts at two separate banks, one bank account at East West Bank and one other bank account at Asia United Bank. GCash, in explaining to the National Privacy Commission investigators, said that the GCash system was not hacked, as many believes, but rather the massive theft from the customers were the result of phishing. It's when people unknowingly give all details of their personal information and account information to persons or computer programs that steal their passwords and be able to withdraw the money electronically without much difficulty. According to GCash officials, their platform has now included facial recognition software built into the program to protect customers in their authorized transactions when withdrawing money.
In the Ukraine war, Russia continued to suffer defeat in the Donbas region and in the southeast borders in Russia. And Ukraine continued its counter-offensive to regain lost territory. Russian forces are getting thinly spread as more casualties are sustained on their side, and had gotten more complicated as anti-Putin forces who are Russians and ethnic Russian Ukrainians has now encroached into the Russia cross-border and were fighting with the forces sent by Vladimir Putin. Reuters and other outlets showed footages of these anti-Putin forces gaining some grounds on the Russian territory near Donbas region. According to some military analysts, asked by various media outlets, Ukraine's counter-offensive will not be sustainable unless it will be done with more weaponry from the United States and its allies over a short period of time, rather than a prolonged campaign, because Ukraine does not have 100,000 young men to fight a prolonged war.
Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida, had joined the race for the nomination for a Republican presidential candidate in 2024. He was the latest to jump into what is expected to be a crowded primary for the nomination against President Joe Biden in 2024. But the announcement for his run that was arranged via Twitter, supposedly with Twitter owner Elon Musk, was considered by mainstream media as a disaster. Twitter's system crashed during the public announcement and took Twitter almost 30 minutes to fix the problem. When the spectacle was finished, only 110,000 viewers were able to see it in real time. Many TV news commentators said that there could have been more viewers, like 500,000, if he just used a local TV station in Miami, Florida. DeSantis, who is considered a right-wing extremist in his policy and going along with the white evangelical Christian voters and with Christian nationalists who espouse anti-democratic sentiments and embraces a theocracy, like what happened in Iran and Afghanistan, are behind DeSantis and has shaped his governorship as a rule in Florida as a fascist government. He made war with teachers and even Disney. His most recent controversy was banning a book from public school of a well-known young black poet who delivered a poetry at Joe Biden's inauguration, Amanda Gorman. DeSantis made war also with African American and other minorities by banning books that is about slavery and black history and books that shows understanding and sympathetic to the LGBTQ community. He also just signed a very punitive anti-immigration law for Florida.
We are going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will be joined here at the studio by a young man from Clark County, Nevada, who is running in the 2024 primary for the state Senate. Please stick around.
the many recent changes and focus on immigration law, now more than ever is the time to seek the help you need from an attorney you can trust. As an immigrant myself, I know the many difficulties and hardships involved in immigrating to this great country. With more than 10 years of experience in handling immigration cases, our firm can provide the necessary answers and solutions to your needs. Call Calderon Law today so we can work together to help you get the peace of mind you and your loved ones deserve.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. With us now is Christian Bishop. He is running for the state Senate seat in Henderson, Nevada, now one of the big cities in southern Nevada that is part of Las Vegas metropolitan area. Chris, thank you for agreeing to talk with us here at The Pulse.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, guys. So glad to be here.
It's our
Thank
pleasure,
you so much.
too.
Thank you.
Please give us some background about yourself, Chris.
Absolutely. I'm a son to a single mother. She's got 4 kids. I'm one of them. I've got my third on the way myself, 2 boys and a daughter.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so lucky we got our girl here. My lady would be very angry if we ended up with 3 boys. But it's worked out well. Life's been very good to us here in Vegas. We settled down in Henderson, where we've been able to build our family.
Where exactly is Senate District 5, and who are you trying to replace?
Absolutely. It's SD5, and that's in Henderson, which is actually the second largest city in Nevada. It's over 300,000 people in our district. Currently, it's Senator Buck's seat. It's a really big deal because we'd be flipping for supermajority to turn this from a Republican seat to a Democrat-held seat.
What particular policy changes or issues that are important to your constituents that prompted you to run for this Senate seat and represent them? Please free to explain it.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things that pushed me was becoming a father. Ultimately for me, it's big to be about action, not to be a hypocrite and do something.
Yes.
You know, I think we've all lived our lives and have seen a lot that's been going on for a lot of these years. And I got to the point to say, why not me? Like I've said multiple times throughout my life, to step up and do something about it if you don't like the way things are being done. So I decided to run. Right now, if you look at legislation and what's going on currently, there's over $150 million in tax credits that are being considered by 9 bills, which is going to go to fund huge programs in the state of Nevada. And I think it's really important that we have people that not only will do the work, but be thoughtful to think through the nuance of each issue and each bill that's going to be passed, because it affects all of us and our children.
Have you run for an elected office before, either in a primary or a general election?
Not in official capacity here at the legislative. This will be my first time, but I've supported a ton of different candidates over the years. I've sat on numerous boards to help candidates get in office, and it was about learning and putting in the workforce to support others. And now it's time that I think, especially younger generations, really stand up and do some work.
Let's go back to that question on where exactly is Senate District 5. Give us like an idea where the boundaries are. North, south, east, west.
Yeah, if you look at that southeast chunk, right? So the freeway is this big chunk that comes over. So at the very bottom right-hand corner was a lot of new development, McDonald Highland. You got the Anthem community as well, that General Central Park.
Yes.
Right before the outskirts, there's this urban area that surrounds us, which is predominantly a Republican district. But there are a lot of people in this particular community.
Yes, thank you for I'm trying to visualize now where that is. How is it going for you so far? Do you believe your campaign is going to gain traction as we get closer to the Democratic primary?
Absolutely. I appreciate you asking that. We've done a great job. So we've got a team of over 30 that have volunteered and stepped up to support my campaign team, which I think is unconventional. And state Senate races, we broke in the records for funding in terms of what's been raised, breaking over just $150,000 alone in the first 45 days, which is more than some Senate campaign candidates raised their entire 2 years. And we've done very early on as well. And I've done a great job getting a lot of grassroots support.
Obviously, because for first time running for office, right? and 150,000 in first quarter, in 1 quarter alone. That's a lot of accomplishment there, Emmy. You know, and.
That's wonderful. Do you already have your campaign team set up, Christian?
We do. So our team's coming together. There's more work to be done. For me, it's pretty important to work closely with the caucus and leadership. They've been busy in session, so I want to be respectful of that and follow their lead. To be thoughtful about the approach because it comes for Nevada politics and the party first. But yeah, we've really amassed a really great team of incredible people that have come together. Always looking for more amazing folks. More than welcome. Come join us. But it's not just about me. I think the fundraising is helpful, but we've also been able to support a lot of different communities, supporting other folks as well, sponsoring events, programs, creating scholarships too. So I'm really proud of that.
I bet you are. Those are good things. How about endorsement? Or is it too early for that at this stage? Endorsements from other politicians? Have you gotten some?
You know your stuff. It's early. It's early. So especially in session. So I think a lot of candidates are focused, in different groups are focused on getting through this current session, which hopefully we will get done here and hopefully not have a special session on the 6th here in a couple weeks. But look to earn some through the next few months.
I could imagine.
Is there anything you would like to add or convey to our viewers?
No, just thank you so much for having me today. Feel free to reach out. You can visit my website, www.christianbishop.com. Feel free to get in contact with me if there's anything you particularly care about. I love to chat, make myself available. Thank you guys really for having me on your show today. It's really awesome to be here with you.
You're most welcome.
Well, we are out of time for today. And Christian, once again, on behalf of the Pauls, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, until next time, thank you for watching. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould.
And I'm Sam Buban. Thank you, and God bless your week.